Hi everybody, this is my delayed What I Read in December wrap-up video. In the month of December, I read 6 books, and I've got some notes here, so pardon me looking, pardon the glare, it's kind of unavoidable. Hopefully it's not too distracting. And I've got the 6 books that I read, so let's just dive right in the order that I read them. Of course, I have them stacked wrong. Okay, that's better. So, the first book that I read of December 2025 was John Grisham's The Widow. And John Grisham, I like. He can be a little hit or miss for me. It could also just be that my preferences in what I'm reading have changed. I know that I read a few books of his like 20 years ago, fell in love, but maybe what I was falling in love with was the like law procedural of it all. He does have some books that the ending is disappointing, but then it's kind of like his thing is the reality of it. Things might not be tied up nice in a bow. It might be like a heartbreaking ending, and so he can be hit or miss for me. But this is one of his newer books. This is from 2025, and it follows a lawyer who has an elderly woman come in and ask for his services, and she kind of lets slip that she's got lots of money. I don't remember the exact amount, but probably a couple million or something like that. But she's rich, and he's like, "Oh, here's an opportunity for me to get some money. I'll kind of pad my fees a little bit." And that's all I'm gonna say. But some things happen. There's a courtroom sequence, and right up to the end, I am kind of wondering, like, where is this gonna go? How is this gonna be wrapped up? I liked the book. I feel like the ending could have been a little bit more satisfying, but again, for John Grisham, it was probably fine. And of the John Grisham books that I've read, this one is probably a little bit better than average, so I gave it 4 stars. The next book that I read was Lisa Jewell's None of This Is True, which is from 2023. This was a 5-star book. I absolutely loved it. I don't think I've read anything by Lisa Jewell before, or if I have, it's been several years. This was a dual point of view story. It follows 2 women who share the same birthday. They're birthday twins. One of them is a podcaster. The other one's kind of like a bored housewife. The bored housewife becomes a little obsessed with the podcaster and kind of fabricates opportunities for them to bump into each other. And so it kind of has like single white female types of vibes. There are some things that happen that kind of keep you on the edge of your seat. I'd say maybe it's a little slow to start, but then it hits its pace. And I finished this book. I intended to probably take a few more days to read it, but I got to a point where I just had to keep reading until the end. And so I gave this 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. So, since I had a 5-star Lisa Jewell book, I thought, why not try another Lisa Jewell? And I read Then She Was Gone, which actually came out in 2017. So this one's a little bit older. I scored this one 3 stars. I think that it was fine. It was decent. I'm trying to remember what this one was about. Let's see. Oh, yes. Okay. So, a woman's daughter kind of disappears. A teenage daughter disappears one day, and years go by, and she kind of disappears without a trace. Then she was gone. And this follows the story of the mother kind of coping with that. We get glimpses of the before times, like the day the daughter disappeared, what was happening leading up to that. We see things that are going on now. The mother, I think, is this the one where the mother starts dating someone? Yeah. So the mother meets a man, and the romance piece felt a little, I don't know, it wasn't really for me. Like, it felt a little forced. It felt like it was happening too quick. I kind of wanted to shake the main character and say, "What are you doing?" Which sometimes is okay. So, like, it wasn't a bad book, but after reading the 5-star, None of This Was True, this one felt a little different, but I still enjoyed it, so I gave it 3 stars. 3 books in, I was kind of ready to pick up a Christmas story. I didn't even know that, like, Christmas was a genre, but it makes sense that it is. I just did not know. And so I had picked up this book at Goodwill called Twas The Knife Before Christmas by Jacqueline Frost. And this came out in 2018. I didn't realize this was a series. I mean, I just saw this and thought it was kind of like a cozy Christmas thing. So I tossed it in my cart. And when I read the back, I kind of thought it sounds a little quirky, a little goofy. So maybe for Christmas time, let's give it a try. And it was, the town is like a Christmas town, and the main character's name is Holly, I think. Am I remembering that right? Yeah, Holly White is the main character, and there's just a lot of like heavy-handed Christmas town things. And for me, I didn't know, is this going to be like a mystical, magical thing where like Santa Claus is real or we have his elves? Like, are we going into fantasy Christmas, or is this just like heartwarming Hallmark movie Christmas with a kind of turning up the dial with the Christmas theme? And that's what it was. It's a mystery. It kind of follows this main character, Holly White. She's a young lady, probably, if I remember correctly, in her early 20s. She might be a teenager, but I'm pretty sure she's like 20 to 25. And her best friend is the number one suspect when this body appears. Things that I really appreciated about this book is that the murder happens at the end of chapter 1, so it like hits the ground running, which I appreciate. And as I'm reading it, it kind of felt like a chore just because of how like stickingly sweet the Christmas stuff was. But I had to kind of get into that mindset. I had just read 3 thrillers, and so I was kind of like, I had to adjust to get ready for this type of a book, which isn't really the book's fault. The other thing, though, is this is the second book in the Christmas Tree Farm series. And so the first one, I think, is called The 12 Sleighs of Christmas or something like that. And it definitely needs to be read in order. Everything that happens in this book is like standalone, but this book references the first book every 2 pages. I'm not even exaggerating. It felt like it was constantly talking about what happened last year and things. And so it kind of spoiled the first book, honestly. I'm still kind of wanting to read it though. So while it was annoying how frequently this book referenced the first one, it is the second in a series, so that's not the book's fault that I picked up the second book first. So I kind of had to sit with myself and decide, okay, do I want to read the rest of the series? Does this make me want to? And I'm sorry about the glare. I kind of had to sit with myself and decide, do I want to read the rest of the series? And I did. I think that I looked, and I think there's like 7 or 8 books in this series now. I mean, this one, like I said, was from 2018. So I think I do want to try to keep an eye out for and collect these and then read them in sequential order. They're definitely like that Hallmark movie vibe, but with a little bit of murder, which is fun. And so all of that's to say, I ended up giving it 4 stars. Although as I was reading it, I kind of thought this is going to be a 3 or less. I think I just really struggled with it being a sequel. But at the end of the book, I had to think about, was the ending tied up nicely? Was it satisfying? Do I want to read the others? Was it a well-written book? And all those answers were yes, so I gave it a 4 star. Next was Fair Play by Louise Hegarty, which is 2025. I picked this up at Pal's during a haul, and that's kind of back when this whole reading... I've always been a reader, but this year, starting with that Pal's trip to Portland, I kind of turned up the dial and have just been like reading nonstop. And this was a book that I was intrigued by the cover. I just thought it was kind of quirky and fun and different. The back described it as fiendishly designed, intricately layered, and psychologically astute. And it's been described as like one of its kind, not doing things the way that they normally are. And so I was very intrigued. It opens, the inside cover talks about how a group of friends get together at an Airbnb for one of their birthdays. Their birthday is like, I think January 1st. So on the 31st for New Year's Eve, they're doing a big birthday party at this house, and they're playing like a whodunit murder mystery game. And then the next morning, one of them is dead, and it turns into a whodunit, which sounds like something I would love. I did not like this book. It was a 1 star for me, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about why without giving any spoilers away. This book is kind of why I put off doing this video for so long, because I was like, I don't want to give spoilers in my reviews. I'd like to leave it up to whoever's watching to kind of get a high-level overview, and then they can decide if they want to try it themselves. I appreciate what the author was trying to do, and I understand why the back of the book had all the praise about how this was done very differently. I don't think it was executed well. I think that after I finished this book, I was very unsatisfied. As you're reading, I had a lot of questions, and it got to a point where I wasn't enjoying myself, but I was like, if this is pulled off and all my questions are answered, this could be fantastic. So I'm going to follow along and see how it goes. It's kind of like Lost, the TV show, in that it had a lot of weird things happening, but I'm like, well, we'll see how it pulls it off. And I wasn't really happy with how they pulled it off either. So I guess I'm the kind of person who needs something to be really spelled out for me. I'm okay if we go on a weird journey, but at the end, I need it to be tied up. I need it to not be left up to interpretation. I want you to tell me very clearly what you intended as the author. And that's not what this book is. I had to go online to like look at some other reviews to see, am I missing something? What is this book? And sure enough, some of the reviews did explain what happened. And again, I can appreciate that, but I don't think it was executed well. One thing I will say is that the setting is kind of like an unreliable narrator, but for a setting. So, and I got hung up on that. Like, I felt like this is a discrepancy. The setting was one thing, but now as the book is progressing, they keep referencing something else, and that's not what the setting of the murder was. And I just could not get over that. I couldn't get lost in the story because I was trying to understand why were the settings different. And so that's just a non-spoiler example of why I had a hard time with this book. I'm not saying I won't read anything else by Louise Hegarty. I might try some other things if I see them in the wild, but I'm not searching her out. And again, I didn't really like this book. So after Fair Play, I was down to the last couple days of the month, and I was like, okay, I don't want to end with that one. I feel like I need something new for my palette, and I grabbed this Mary Higgins Clark book from my shelf. This is We'll Meet Again by Mary Higgins Clark, which is from 1999. I've been gathering a lot of Mary Higgins Clark books during my hauls because I do want to try her, and so I thought, hey, I got a couple days of the month left. This looks like it should be a pretty quick read. It's like 370 pages, but it's a small guy, and so I picked this up and gave it a go. This one is about a woman who goes to prison for a crime of murdering her husband and gets released on good behavior, but then she starts saying, I didn't kill my husband, and now that she's out, she wants to try to prove herself. And everyone's saying part of your plea agreement was that you had accepted that you did this, so now you're trying to say you didn't, and so there's a risk of her getting arrested again, and it kind of follows her as she and all the people in her orbit are piecing things together. So is that, again, this has been over a month since I read this, but is that the gist? And there's some dual point of views in this one as well. So I liked it. I think initially I gave it 5 stars, but then I kind of thought to myself, no, it's a 4-star, because I think what I was thinking was, one, I really didn't like this one. So this was such a welcome change. And I also didn't really have any faults. Like, I appreciated the writing. I appreciated the characterization of everybody. I followed the plot. I think that I was still surprised. So those are all things that are a recipe for a book that I will love. And so I think I kind of initially gave it 5 stars, but then I thought, okay, no. A 5 stars is a book that I am like either wrecked by or just really blown away, immediately recommending it to people. And I don't think We'll Meet Again by Mary Higgins Clark is a book I'm recommending to everybody. So I scaled it back and was like, okay, I had recency bias, but this is still a good book. No real issues with it, so I gave it 4 stars. That's what I read in December. I got some variety, got some range in star ratings, and I'm excited to share with you what I've been reading in January. So stay tuned for that video.